Can we get a roll call, please?
Tom Costello.
Tom Costello. Mr. Scott Dossett.
Here.
Ms. Grace Mitchell.
Present.
Ms. Megan McGinty.
Here.
Mr. Ricardo Diaz.
Also here.
Ms. Diane Gottheil.
Here.
Ms. Ivy Williams. Grace, we have a quorum.
Okay. Are there any, before we get started, I'd like to again let Diane know how deep we are sorry about her loss of her husband, Fred. Fred was a very memorable person, a very important person, and we'll all miss him. Okay. Okay, with our agenda, are there any changes to the agenda that we have in front of us? Scott? Okay. Okay, can we get approval of the minutes, please? And I think we have the minutes here from the October meeting, if you've had a chance to review them. We also have the minutes here from the January 2016 meeting.
Yeah, I had changes that I would like for the committee to consider for the October the 28th meeting.
Okay.
There was dialogue after a visitor spoke about this board reviewing all complaints made to the citizens, not only the ones that follow our process.
Mm-hmm.
And that's mentioned in the meeting, but if it, at the pleasure of the chair and the committee, I'd like to fill in that detail just a bit on announcements. So number 8,
Okay.
letter B. The addition I have drafted is Mr. Dossett's comments were made to caution the group about agreeing too hastily to Mr. Cruz's request for a review of all complaints by citizens. In his memory, this is a complicated idea which needs much work and which UPD indicates contains some areas of concern. Durrell's, Durrell's comments really weren't listed in the minutes, and so to me, I'm just suggesting this to kind of flesh out what that conversation was about. And I think we're going to be continued to be asked to consider increasing the scope of complaint review, and I'd just like the minutes to reflect that specifically.
Okay, with the change, thank you, Scott. With the change, at some point, could we add to those minutes to include a full discussion did not take place, but at some point soon, we would like to have a discussion. I'd like to have all the board members here. I'm somewhat in agreement with what you're saying. For us to filter through all complaints, that can be a number of complaints. And does it actually change our role as an advisory board, or what does it change our role to be? So would we like to have something written up and add it to the minutes from today to be inclusive?
Well, yeah, I mean, as chair, I think you can bring that forward, and we can either discuss it here or wait till later. Right now, all I wanted to do is request this amendment to the minutes for the October 28 meeting.
Okay, there is a request for an amendment to be put into the October 28th board meeting. And also, if we don't have all the board members, who are we missing? We're missing Ivy. Is that the only one missing?
And Tom.
And Tom. Okay, I need some clarity in reference to Tom. Is Tom still a part of this board?
Until further notice, yes.
Okay, so we're missing, although we have a quorum. I think that with what we have on the agenda tonight, if we can discuss it, but I would like to bring it up, table it, and perhaps bring it up for our next meeting, if possible, but I do think it needs to be discussed.
Sure.
Okay. Can the minutes, you taking the minutes? Okay, can the minutes reflect an amendment to the October 28th minutes to reflect more on the discussion of the request for the board to review all complaints as opposed to the ones that are presented to us?
I'm going to email you what I've drafted here, Alex. Is that all right?
Yes.
I think you have to read it.
Didn't you just read it?
I did.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
Okay, you just read
All
it.
right.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
just so I'm clear, Scott, you're requesting that 8B
8B, yeah.
be amended to new language that better captures that portion of the meeting.
Just,
Right.
yeah.
And you are going to propose some language that can be reviewed on the next meeting, is that right?
Well, I don't know if we approve the minutes after the amendment, then they'll go through. I mean, Ivy is not here.
Right.
And she was present at that meeting. I just checked the roster. I mean, I would just like the minutes to reflect a little bit more in detail
what the
what
request-
the public participation
was.
request was and what we responded, because in the past, with Chief Connolly present here, as we got into these same kind of dialogues, it got to be a big deal.
Right.
The informality, sort of like an informal complaint, how do we track it, or what are we doing with those? And I appreciate Mr. Cruz's attack on that point, frankly, but I just want our minutes to reflect that.
There was a
That's a bigger,
discussion.
that's a bigger deal. And so again, all I suggest adding, and I'm going to email this to you, Mr. Dossett's comments were made to caution the group about agreeing too hastily to Mr. Cruz's request for a review of all, and I capitalize that, complaints by citizens. In his memory, in other words, in my memory, this is a complicated idea which needs much work and which UPD, specifically the chief, indicates contains some areas of concern. Yeah, that's my suggestion.
Okay.
Okay, the minutes would reflect that. And also, you were asking about, he's not saying to do anything with it now, but it's something that this advisory board will discuss further. You know, it is something that we will discuss further. And I guess I have to be in agreement with Scott, you know, looking at, and this is for this meeting, so this doesn't have to be a part of that.
Right.
Is that it's something that we all need to give thought to as to how we feel, how would it impact what we do as an advisory board. And, you know, be open for a discussion when we have our next meeting or the meeting thereafter. But at some point, we need to look at this as an issue. Concerns? You okay, Alex?
Yeah, I'm just thinking procedurally. So is there going to be a motion to approve these minutes, and if so, to what extent? Or is there a motion to hold over the minutes until the next meeting?
There should be a motion to approve these minutes, but the addition to the minutes should be included.
Yeah, I mean, that's typically what happens.
Right.
And
At least
so
on
the-
other commissions I serve on is.
Right, I'm familiar with that piece.
Right.
So, and the language that has been proposed, everyone is going to vote on in a moment whether that is
Yes.
consistent with what occurred.
Okay, and I'll do a motion.
Okay.
Is there a motion for approval of the amendments for the October the 28th meeting with the additional, the addition and changes, the additions that need to be added to those minutes by Mr. Dawson?
So moved.
Okay.
And I
there's a-
second it.
There's a motion and a second to include the addition that Mr. Dawson had presented. All those in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Okay, the other minutes were the January minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to go to the January 27th board meeting?
No. I move to approve them.
Okay,
Second?
there's a motion and a second to approve the January the 27th meeting minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So the minutes have been approved. Now we have our staff report.
I'd like to introduce Mr. Rexley Pina Florida. He is an intern with the office and a mentee, and he is observing today, and he will be joining us for the duration of today's meeting.
Welcome. Okay.
Could you repeat at least his first name? Should we want to?
Rexley,
Oh, Re-
R-E-X-L-Y.
Okay, great, thank you.
Anything else in your report?
No, that's all.
Public participation? Someone in the room there? Okay. Okay, old business. Any old business? Alex? Any old business, Ricardo? Scott?
Well, actually, because I was missing at that meeting in which we just amended, I thought that our purview was defined by actual city ordinance, right? So the discussion to even change that is not ours, it would be council's.
Right, right. But it was it would be something that they would want to present. The public has a right to say they want to present it for us to look at it. And then in looking at it, all we can say to it is that, well, we think it's a good idea, you need to move forward and present it to the city council, or this is not something that we actually can say should take place. We don't make the changes in things that occur as far as policy, because this was policy and this ordinance was made up, not by us. But I always think it's a courtesy when we include public and let them say what they have to say. I think it presents a lot of problems down the road, because then they say, well, they didn't want to hear what I had to say. I'm willing to say we can listen to what they have to say, but it's not meaning that we're going to be able to do anything about what they want to say, but we can listen. And if
Okay.
anything else, we can forward this on to the city. One of the things that the public has a lot of concerns about is us looking at all complaints and looking at all complaints. Personally, I don't feel as if we're capable of doing that, not the few of us. We can't look at all complaints. So then it becomes the city's
The
responsibility.
city's problem.
That's
How many
right.
complaints do we have? We get notices of them by the same ordinance.
Yes, we do.
But we get, I feel like I don't have too many of those
Okay.
announcements.
Too many complaints in reference to the ones that come to us,
Oh,
right?
that's right, because,
See?
well,
Right.
actually, some that climb up to a certain level
Right,
is the ones that are going to be presented here.
right,
And I get notice of those that have been filed
Right.
to the chief,
right,
but then never advanced.
right, right.
Okay.
Right. So we always get notice of any complaints that come in, and this means that the complaint has been filed. We just recently got one on a complaint that was filed.
Okay.
Okay, and when settling those complaints, we get some complaints, how they've been settled, not founded or moving on to other action or whatever.
Yeah, it is not until a person appeals the decision of the chief that it would come to us. Well, and very few of those have come up.
No, it's when they actually file a complaint, if a complaint is filed.
Yeah, when the HRO receives a notarized file of complaint, then we're notified.
Then we are not.
That may be mediated the next minute
Right,
and go
right,
away,
right.
and I'm sure there's a paper trail for that. But those are the list, actually, I think there's a table in here.
That's right, so
that-
that's the
that lists them.
table.
So those are all the complaints. So, the other layer of concern are the complaints that someone may walk in and make a complaint at the front desk about the behavior of an officer or whatever. If they don't go to the extent of getting the form or downloading it and all of that, going through that process, then there's no system to count those
Right.
or to remediate them or
Well,
take action.
and that's where, while I'm not asking for a lot of work or for more work, I think that the public should know that every complaint has someone to listen to it, and that in the event that they disagree with probably two layers, that it does come here
Right.
and we do review it fully. But every complaint every person that has a complaint ought to know that there's a procedure to receive it.
I think that one of the things what happens is that someone should be there to see it, but then you look at the time factor involved. If someone's mad because you said I had to get off the corner, and I'm a firm believer that the public has a right to complain and should complain, but where does that go? Who did they complain to? So if everybody filed a complaint, and I'm sure there are plenty, that they don't even get to our process. But one of the things I know that we've done since we've been in existence is stress the importance of letting the public know, regardless to whether a policeman stopped you and was rude to you or what the process is. So we will have people more apt to give a formal complaint. If it means go in, give me a piece of paper so I can fill this formal complaint out, that they can do this. I think that when we go out and do outreach in the community, it's about stressing to people. There is a process in place. And if you feel you have had a misjustice done to you with the police, then go file the complaint. Cursing on the street and saying they're wrong or they didn't do me right is not the way to go about doing it.
Yeah.
Do the paper trail thing, and then it becomes something that's on file and we can see it. But if you just, come in and say, well, I'm angry because, you stopped me for nothing because I look strange, and I'm not taking up for anybody, but I'm saying that we need to utilize a process that's in place. Another thing that we have in place is that when complaints are filed, we can actually go review those complaints.
Correct.
So, and I wish I would do it more. A lot of times I don't, and I'll be honest with you. I'll say, okay, oh yeah, here's another complaint. And, I don't find the time to come down here and say, well, let me look at this complaint, which I need to condition myself to do more of. But I agree with you. There should be a vehicle. We need to educate our community more, is that utilize the vehicle that's in place. Go sign that piece of paper. It means that you got to come over here to do it, then do it. Then that way you got a track of complaints, because
Yeah.
right now there's nothing.
Can I just ask if the vehicle that we currently have, the paperwork for people to file a complaint, is it easy enough that people feel they can do it? I mean, what if someone is limited literacy, or they are not an English speaker?
Then they can get assistance.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Do we,
Yeah.
is that something can they get?
Absolutely.
All right, and is it
Absolutely.
clear to them that that is available to them?
We've tried to, Scott, I can tell you, we have gone out and met at different gatherings with community groups and tried to explain this process. One of the things that we got away from, I did, was that when people in the community know you individually, they feel that they can come to you individually and say, this is what's going on and I don't like it and this happened. We discourage that. I think that they need to come with the formal complaint, so it doesn't look like we're coming here. Well, with my neighbor, who's my best friend, told me that, no, we don't want to do that. But there is a vehicle in place for that. There is a vehicle in place for that.
Ms. Mitchell, so this is televised, right?
Yes. it is.
So everyone should know out there, there's a way to, there's always, when you have a complaint, a way to do it. We have a procedure, and they're welcome to do it, and if they need assistance, that they are able to get it. And I would imagine that comes over to you, Alex, eventually, whether it's language literacy or just discomfort. And then it follows procedures, and the final appeal comes here. But there are many other layers so that they can seek remediation of some type.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And thank you, Ricardo, for encouraging our public to utilize the system in place, because that's what our role is. Is to
Yeah,
look
we
at what's
gotta get-
happening in the community. But we need the community to know whether we back them, but they have to, in order to get things done and to see things take place in reference to complaints, they need to let us know.
Good.
Okay. Anything else from you? Thank you.
No, thank you.
Alex says
I would like to revisit this topic lightly during item 7C, when we discuss business cards and name badges for the commissioners. I prepared some mock-ups and would like to discuss that with you. And I would like to comment a little on this subject at that time, if it's okay.
Okay, okay. And that's for old business? Or you want to, we want to move? We're finished, anything else for old business? Because Ricardo went back, okay.
Okay.
Let's move on to new business. You want to move on to new business?
Yes. We have present with us today Lieutenant Robert Fitzgerald, and he is here to walk us through the 3 taser display reviews that we're going to conduct today. In your packet, you will see a spreadsheet that you will now begin to see in all of your packets. It should be around page 4 or 5. And from here on out, I'm going to go ahead and list the taser displays that are open, and there are 3, and the taser displays that are closed. The first one that we're going to go through is U156747. And with that, I'll turn it over to Robert.
Just so you know, I'm filling in for Rich, who's having a procedure right now, so, and my voice is a little under the weather, so I'll try to get out as best as I can.
There's a button so that the microphone comes on when you're speaking.
Yeah, he was.
Okay, the first incident I'm going to bring up is a summary of the 12/11/15 incident in Southeast Urbana. On 12/11/15 at approximately 1:49 p.m., a UPD officer observed a male in Southeast Urbana. He recognized this person from a previous contacts. The officer checked the subject in the computer and found that he was wanted on the City of Champaign warrant. The officer requested another officer to join him. The officer noted that on previous contacts, the subject made threats to fight with and flee from the officer should the officer ever try to make contact with him. The second officer arrived. Together, they attempted to make contact with the wanted subject at the apartment. Another person answered the door. The wanted subject was in the background and provided a false name when asked and disappeared into the apartment. The conversation continued, and the officers were ultimately told that the wanted subject had left out the back of the residence. Officers checked the back of the residence and found an open window. Officers searched the area and located the wanted subject again, walking on the nearby street. The officer attempted to stop the wanted subject, however, he fled on foot. The officer chased him until the wanted subject stopped at a house. The officer drew his taser, displaying it, and ordered him to lay on the ground. The subject was non-compliant and at times had one of his hands out of sight. This was a concern to the officers. The second officer joined him, and a few moments later, and took the wanted subject into custody. The wanted subject was taken to jail on a warrant and on charges of resisting, obstructing a peace officer, and obstructing identification. Okay, Alex?
Robert, there's some light switches on your right, if you can just hit one or two of them. Okay, that'll work.
Get on the floor. Go on your stomach.
I'm down.
Get on your stomach.
I'm down.
We're right
Hey.
here at the corner of
Come here.
Philo and
Police
Michigan.
on me. Leave.
Get on your
I don't
stomach. Get on your stomach.
I don't know.
Get on your stomach. Get on your stomach.
I'm down.
Let me see your other hand.
I'm down.
Put them in front of you.
Fuck up top of me. I'm down.
Put them in front of you.
I'm down. I'm down, man. Correct.
Get on your stomach.
Put your hand behind your back. I'm down.
That is between 1404. Get down, I'm gonna tell you. Get on the floor. Get on your stomach.
Down.
Get on your stomach.
Down.
So the first video was the events leading up to it, and then the taser display is what you saw thereafter. And that was the first taser display.
That one? Right there?
That's the full incident.
I didn't,
Okay.
okay, the one we just saw at the street and all of that, that was leading up to it. Okay, and the second one, when we saw the
No,
pol-
sorry. The first one that you saw was the actual taser.
got you, okay. Mm-hmm.
And the second that you saw was the
Okay,
That was a police cam leading up to.
got you,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Sure. Can I say something real quick? Thanks, Alex, for being willing to shorten those. I reviewed all of this material myself. And the way I read our charge is that we are to, take information that is relevant to the display and the use of the taser itself. And there's about 25 minutes of video here that is either pursuit, but the car, nobody is present. You can hear the motor racing and the thing shifting and stuff like that. And unless other members of the board really feel as if we have to watch all of those, I am more than willing to leave it up to your judgment. And certainly we want to see all of that video from the taser and audio from the taser cam. I mean, that's why we're here. So thank you for being willing to abbreviate those.
Thank you. Also, the video has been provided to all members, those present and not present, to be able to view them. And we're working on a solution that will allow you to view all of the videos in a secure manner from the comfort of your home. So that will be coming in the next 2 to 3 months. Excited about that. But yes, for the public, the police review board members have full access to all of the footage for the duration of the episode. And for the purpose of this meeting, I try to give you the entire taser display episode, which is the camera and the audio coming from the taser, and then context, video preceding it or video shortly thereafter.
So now a question about what we saw. The first part then was the full taser display. At that point, as I read the police report, the officer's report, he shouldered it, he put it away because he needed to help his fellow officer put him in handcuffs. Is this correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if it's relevant, because it's not in this report, at that point he didn't resist anymore, he was handcuffed and they processed whatever else needed to be done after.
Right, and then they took him to the satellite jail
Okay.
after that, yes.
So then what we saw was a display. It was never discharged. It was used as a control technique, and he eventually complied.
Yes.
Okay.
Alex, since I'm kind of on this right now, I was in error when we had a conversation about the fact that these will be posted through the CPRB website for the public to view, correct? But only the taser videos, is that right?
Whatever is shown, for example, the full taser that we just saw and the preceding, that has been captured by the system. And so
Okay.
when someone views today's hearing, they will be privileged to see all of that.
Okay, so it's a report of the meeting
It's the video
viewing
report.
that goes
right.
public. Okay, including that last little 20-second snippet or whatever from
Right.
the squad. Okay, but the whole squad videos and the back seat and all that, that won't go. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you.
That part is for you guys to, as the
Right.
custodians and the reviewers.
Right.
Okay. Next.
Okay, ready for the second one?
Yes.
Okay. This is a summary of a 12/19/15 incident, also in southeast Urbana. On 12/19/15 at approximately 5:06 p.m., UPD officers were dispatched to a report of excited delirium subject in West Urbana. Officers arrived and spoke with the reporting person. The reporting person indicated that a male subject in question had taken LSD and was having a bad trip. The reporting person reported the male had stripped naked and had cut himself by punching out a window. Officers made contact with the male who ingested LSD and engaged him in extensive conversation. One of the officers present at the scene was equipped with a taser. He removed his taser and disengaged the safety for officer safety reasons and to capture a video and audio recordings. The subject ultimately agreed to sit on the medical cot. When this occurred, officers and paramedics on scene secured him to the cot. The subject, for a moment, became excited and quickly leaned forward. It was during this time that the taser was pointed at the subject. It should be noted that the video is segmented into multiple files. On some of the occasions, it is because of a 10-minute file limit as previously discussed. On another occasion, it's because the safety was accidentally partially engaged. The officer disengaged the safety and again as soon as he realized what had occurred. Additionally, the sound quality for some of the incidents is difficult to hear. This was due to an equipment failure from a faulty plug in the bottom of the taser. This issue has since been rectified. The subject was ultimately transported to a local hospital for treatment of both the consumption of LSD and the injury to his arm. Okay, Alex.
Carl down here. Can I have medical come up and take a look at you? Is that okay? You all right with that? Okay, medical help?
Yeah.
Hey, Paul, come up. Come down here. Have a seat. Can you have a seat down here for me? Just work your way downstairs. Come on. I'll go with you. You're okay. We've been here once. Who? What? Who?
I'll do that, brother. I mean, that's what my wife keeps saying. Hey, we need to get you checked out. Your bleeding a little bit. You might just come down here and sit down so that the medics can take a look, put the Band-Aid on you.
Oh, John, what's your name?
I don't think I've ever met you. So my name's Phil. Have you? I don't know. This?
Yeah.
It's a taser. Don't worry about that.
Look at my glasses.
Well, I'll tell you what. Can you come down? I'll just come down. I'll just medical help.
I'm putting my hands in the air.
You're fine. Good. You do, dude. You got the medical help stepping up here, okay? Here's the thing. You go ahead and sit right there if you want. Let me talk to you. You're fine, dude. We don't want to get hurt anymore. We want to make this as pleasant as possible for you and for us. You understand that, okay? Okay, listen. We just want to make sure that you're comfortable, okay? Because if you're not comfortable, then we don't feel comfortable. You understand where I'm coming from? You seem like a reasonable person, okay? Where are you from?
I got no idea.
Okay, what hotel did you go out there?
Fuck, dude.
Are you from Illinois? Good.
What the fuck is Illinois?
Okay, listen. We just want to make sure that you're comfortable, okay? So, having said that, would you mind please walking down here so that a medic can take care of your injuries because you're injured and we're concerned about you? Is that something that you think you can do for me?
No, dude, I'm done.
Why are you done?
Dude, what? No.
Oh, understand this. We want you to get the best thing that's comfortable for you. What can we do for you? You're obviously hot.
Dude, you got a pillow or something?
Okay, there's couch pillows down here, brother. There's couch pillows down here. Just look, if you could just walk down here, be cooperative, just like we're doing now, which I appreciate, this will go a long way.
What, dude?
What's up? Look, I can tell you this. You're breaking no laws, and I want to make sure you get the help that you need, okay? Is that something? The medical people right out here? The medical people right here. Can I have them to step in so you can you? Make sure you're okay, all right? Yeah, this is the supervisor. Okay, this is Jim. Hey,
Good, dude.
what's going on?
Good, dude.
Where are you going?
Oh, jeez. Okay.
I see your cut. Where are you going? You want to get some help for that cut?
Yeah, just take that. Yeah.
I'll bring it out here. Okay. Somebody know that's going to do it? Can I come up and take a look at you?
I do not.
Just to see how you're doing? You think it's first? You okay with that? Chair? Table?
Oh, jeez, yeah.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
You can step up here a little as well.
Oh,
something. He's paramedic.
Paramedic. Nah, dude. Paramedic. We want gloves.
He can't, that's even the point of wear those out.
Nah.
Okay, Alex, can I see where you're putting them? Okay. All right. Anywhere else, is there anywhere else?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe like my head or something.
Your head? Did you get your head? Will you look back so I can see where you're
Nah, dude. Stay where you're talking. I'm not moving tripping right now.
I'm not moving. I'm not
Right,
moving.
dude?
I'm not moving. We're gonna stay right where we're at. Okay, if you want me to step back, I'll step back.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Can I have him next to the house? Because he just wants to make sure that you're okay. So we're gonna move some things down here so you have a little room.
No.
Hear me out. Hear me out.
No, dude.
Hear me out. Listen. I'm trying to focus on my face. Okay? Again,
You guys.
well, why don't you just come talk to us? Just come on down here, brother. It's all right, man. Nothing's gonna happen to you. We're gonna make sure you get some help. Okay?
Dude, this has to be a bad dream, man.
No, not a bad dream at all. What I want you to do is just come on down here to the wood, okay? Awesome.
Let's have the
Now,
medical people take
why don't you
over.
just get those your phones?
Yeah.
You want to put them back on?
Can I come in?
He's a medical guy.
Paramedic?
He's a medical guy.
Care about it.
We're not medical people.
We're not.
Help
We're
your
police.
injuries.
Where are we at?
So yeah,
Your house.
your house. So you put your clothes back on, so it's not too cold.
Nah, dude. Can I come
Can they
in?
come and check your injuries?
You got a hurt arm.
You got a hurt arm, that's it.
No, I don't.
Okay,
Okay.
relax.
Oh, you guys.
Take a deep breath. Look, I can tell you right now, you're not in trouble at all.
No.
At all.
You're
Guaranteed you're not in
tripping, you're
trouble.
having a bad trip, things are not like they're supposed to be, so sit down and relax. Best you can.
Have you okay?
Okay? You're gonna be seeing things and imagining things that aren't here. Sit down and relax. Best you can, okay?
Okay. Have a seat on the couch.
You got a pretty good cut.
Oh, dude.
You got a cut.
Don't look in the mirror. Don't look in the mirror.
Why?
Have the
Just
medical.
don't look in the mirror. Just have the medical guys look at it.
Come on, guys. Dude, fuck it.
Come on in.
Check me out. That's it.
Can I see your arm? I wanna see where you're bleeding. Nice to meet you. Yeah, just
Come on.
Just on the airway on the car.
Yeah, dude, fucking Carl.
Can I feel your temperature?
Yeah, dude. Is that it?
Yeah, it's pretty warm. It's pretty hot. So we're gonna get you out and get you. Wrap your arm in gauze so it's possible.
No,
We're still tripping. Yeah. But we want to protect you so you don't get an infection.
Oh, you're fucking.
No, seriously. My name is.
He's a medic. He's gonna help you out, man. He's gonna make sure.
We're not gonna step out just check on my
We're gonna get you some clothes, and we gotta make sure that the wound is covered. That's all. That's all they're concerned about, okay? They're just gonna gauze you up, man. It's just gauze.
How long is this gonna last for?
The trip, or the situation.
I mean, you're doing great, dude. I guess we're over the boat, man.
I tell you what, you have any hits? How many hits did you?
Dude gave me a 12.
Did you get a 12?
We touch your arm, okay?
Sure.
Okay, let me have your arm.
He's a good guy. Hey, dude.
All right, we're gonna dress this up real quickly.
Dude, that couldn't hurt. You think? We're gonna go lightly on it.
Okay, I just want
Oh,
to.
yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so fine.
Go. Sure. Anything else?
I don't know you don't want to.
Yeah?
Is that who you want me to call?
It's outside.
Who's outside? Okay, what's your name?
805.
815. How about you find your phone in a minute? Let these guys do what they gotta do, and I bet it's in the phone, is it not?
Dude.
Okay, can you hold your arm up for me just a little bit?
Doing a great job, man.
Driven down. All right, put it back down. All right. This is tape.
Look, I have my mind up. I'll go.
Tape, okay? Just hold it in place, all right?
Even if something that I can't beat.
You're gonna do fine. You're gonna do good. You're good. When we get out to the ambulance, we're gonna bring a gurney in for you and some fluid, and that will help you, okay?
Oh, God damn it, you guys got me.
No, you're not. You're not.
The only reason we're here, brother, is to make sure that you're okay. We want you to get off. That's it, man.
I don't know, guys. There's like 12 of us. Jim?
Yeah.
Rick? Oh, what the fuck? He doesn't like being called a lot of things.
Okay. Hey, what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna go your hand one more time. 2 minutes, that's it.
Okay? And then we're gonna head on out to the end.
Ah.
All right, let me have
Okay.
Oh, dude, you cut it on your ass, you know. Look at me. Take a nice deep breath. There you go. Nice deep breath. Just kind of get there and just breathe. There you go. Jim's doing a great job, isn't he? He's not bad for my first day, huh? He used to work at McDonald's, and we think it's really... I love you, a piece of you. What's up, burger?
That was a good one.
All right. You're doing excellent.
Present?
You want to go to presents or Carl?
Do whatever we're supposed to.
Okay, sounds good to me. I'll take care of number of Carl if it's supposed to, okay?
Yeah? Okay, yes.
We're going to get going again just a quick second.
So I believe the taser records in 10-minute increments, so that was 10 minutes of the officers attempting to manage the situation and work the person to a safe resolution. In the next video,
No, it was some mistake.
it
Want something to say?
continues, and I'm gonna- you'll see at the bottom
What's
the
today?
timestamp. I'm going to fast forward it to
You're on the
minute
second call.
30 or minute 30 in on this one, where there's a little more activity. It's an ongoing conversation.
Okay? Over here. You're doing real good. You're doing real good. All right? Okay, so we're just going to go right over here and sit on the cot. Go right and sit in that crease, right over there. Right here. We're okay. We're doing good so far. Everything's good stuff? There we go. Okay. Take a second to relax.
Does it all weird and stuff? Yeah, I've seen everything.
Yeah. Okay, come on. Sit right. I had to say it feels comfortable. And I will that. It's like that. That's the best. That's the best.
Have you been out here?
No, that's how we go to the hospital, bud. You can do it. You can go to the cop. You can do it. I guess you wanted to take care of me, right? I'm here to take care of you.
That's what he's gonna
I'm
do.
here to take care of you, all right? We made a piece of care for you, okay? You're okay. You're just fine. 2 steps and we're gonna sit down, okay? That's it. It's a trust game.
Look, guys.
I know, I understand. Listen to me.
And I believe that's where they were close to getting the person onto the cot, and then they'll continue some
I
negotiation.
need you to sit on the couch so I can get you out to the ambulance, so we can work with you, okay? You go to the hospital, okay? Come sit down. Go to the hospital. Come on, buddy. Trust me on this. You wanna get off this trip, right?
Yeah.
That's all we're gonna do. They're gonna help you do that.
I'm just going to forward you through the rest of it.
That's what you, which.
We're just here to help you, okay?
Let me, okay. That's all I have.
There.
You're almost there.
Can I have some water? Guys, come on.
No, you gotta sit over there.
Got our seat. Okay, that's what we gotta do.
And I wanna help that too. I don't know.
Look. You can do it, man.
Let's go. Just have a seat. Let's go. You can do it. Come on. You can do it. There you go. You're gonna go out to the cot. But you don't want that. Come on.
Hey, check this out, watch this.
Here you go.
Coming black.
Is it cool?
Is it coming black?
No, it's partly black, it's
Okay,
a bumpy color.
sit right here. Seriously. That'll work.
Cool.
That's it. Okay, come down a little bit. I think you came up too high.
There you go.
All right, and sit back down, bud. There you go.
Give you a boy a spoon, sit down.
Ain't gonna go anywhere.
And now swing your legs right up here, okay? And I'll put these seatbelts on you. Okay, come on. Put your back there.
You got it,
Come on,
man.
bud.
You got it.
I have to, trust me. Trust me. I haven't hurt you.
So in that 10-minute period, at around minute 2:30, they were close to being able to get the individual onto the cot. In video number 3, is a very short video. It is 2 seconds, so I'm just going to play. That's,
Take care of you and respect you.
Oh, this is.
and then we go on to video number 4 of the incident, and this one is 10 minutes. And here, the negotiation continues, and some activity happens around minute 6, so I'm just going to move you through to minute 6.
Alex, in an effort to be transparent, could you speed it as fast as it'll take instead of skipping?
Yes, let me try that.
No. What's not fair about that? Dude, I don't know, when does this all start?
I think if you click it twice or 3 times, it should. Or hold it down, maybe. There it is.
Thank you. And please feel free to ask me to stop if you want to see any piece of it.
I guess just for everybody watching, we're watching the taser, where the taser is pointing. And we have full police reports on every other thing, but this is just a point of view of the taser, so this is where it's being pointed all this time. It's easy to forget that we're in the room, but we're watching as the taser's watching.
You can do it.
No.
Okay, let me do it.
I knew this was coming.
What's that?
You are going to go to the hospital. You're going to go to the hospital. Okay? That has happened.
It took like 26 of you.
Yeah, something like that.
We just like Martha's and we'll go wait. Yeah.
You are going to go to the hospital, and we're going to take you, okay? They're going to take you to the hospital for treatment. You have to be strapped down to the gurney so you don't fall off of it when you drive to the hospital, just like you have to be strapped in the seatbelt.
There you go.
No, dude, can you load me down a bit?
No,
No, it's fine, we're fine.
Please, guys.
no, we need you to lay back and put on the
Let me take that pulse again. Let me take that pulse.
No, please. No
Look
bad,
at me, look at me. I can see it's racing right now. You feel it?
no bad movements here.
Yeah, I'm not. The only thing I feel fast moving is your pulse. I need to get you in my ambulance. I don't have any more time. I'm running out of time.
Screw it.
I don't want you to die. I'm treating you like a brother. Look at me. I'm treating you like a brother. You understand that? I'm treating you like someone important, so you let me help you. Put that seatbelt on, and let's get going. Yeah. Cover yourself up.
No,
I got it.
no,
You don't need it? Okay. Let's do it. There we go.
Put me in like a corner.
A corner?
Yeah.
No, I gotta get you outside.
Why?
That's just, I gotta do my work in the ambulance. Come on, man. Come on. So strap up, warm up, we'll get you out there. Lickety split. Come on. Won't take any time, as long as you get your feet up, lay back, chillax a little bit, we'll buckle you up, and we'll go. Okay? Hear me?
Mm-mm.
No, calm down. It's okay. Calm down. Good job, brother. Keep relaxed. Good job. No. We'll get you some help. It's okay? You're good. I'm going to take care of this trip for you. Relax as best you can. It's not easy. Keep trying to relax. No, this is the law. This is good that I can do. You know, all down there. We're going to get you some help. Look, you're all doing the extended business here. This is all you're talking about.
So your head back and relax.
I should never get you. You're not Well, you know what? In about 3 hours, you're going to say something different because you're going to be able to escape and it'll be okay, all right? 3 hours, no.
Can I at least call? Who do you call? No, dude, can I call my brother? Yeah, who's your brother? What did you call me? Fish? Did you get swim in the ocean? Sure. Are you guys just throwing me out in right now? I'm going to get the phone. All right? I told you that.
Somebody got a car up close that can secure it and ride with me? I can.
Yeah.
You got that to buy that? Okay, that's fine.
I will come to you.
And then the final taser footage for this event is 26 seconds, and I'll just play that for you.
Couldn't just let me have it,
You can move these corners right here, so.
Roger that. Fuck, man. I will secure before I leave, for sure. You're doing great. No, you guys, I don't want to look at it. I'm not my boy. We know.
You're okay. Relax.
Apparently it's married on my mind right now.
You're fine.
Hell. That right now.
And that concludes the video footage for Taser Display 2.
Do we wait to talk about them until we see all of them, or do we, what's our preference?
Yeah, it's your preference.
Yeah.
If you want to
Mitchell,
write.
if it's okay, it gets confusing if we wait for another one. Already, my mind is not remembering all the details. So could we talk through each one? Because I think our goal is to accept proper usage or not, right?
Okay, yeah, yeah, we can start.
Okay.
Okay, take a few minutes. This won't be lengthy discussions, but we can discuss, okay?
Yeah, I just would hate to start mixing things and then
Right.
not have the ability to remember which one is
Right.
which.
The one thing to, I think that makes a lot of sense. The one thing to remember, though, is also that we're looking for patterns. So, but to look
Yeah.
for patterns, we obviously look at singular usages.
Situations.
And so, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, Carter.
Okay, can I start?
Yes?
Number one, the pattern for me right now is we have good footage, we have good reports, we have enough documentation. I feel satisfied that what we started a year ago is showing up in front of other eyes. I also like the fact that people are aware, both the officers, but I think the people being filmed also are getting the notice, they know, and I feel that would influence all of us, that there's okay. Therefore, then to comment on the specifics, I don't know, start with the first one on?
Yes.
Okay. So the first one for me is I have enough information to say it worked, it was displayed, the guy complied, whether this helped or not, is okay in that we don't have to know. The fact is that he complied, no one was hurt, and the officers got to do the job that they came out to do. So for me, the usage, the recording, it seemed abrupt, but it's true. Once something's shouldered, we didn't know, but the police reports filled in that he was arrested and he was taken in. So for me,
Okay.
case one was,
Okay.
by the book, as far as I can tell.
Scott, thank you, Carter. Scott, move on down to, we'll stay on one. We'll move through each one of them. Take a few minutes.
Yeah, good documentation, good perspective, careful redaction of images of the suspect. Appreciate all of that stuff.
Okay. Again, as was I was very pleased with the documentation which follows up what we see for some of what we see, and I'm glad you said that you would pass through some of it. because you kind of lose what you're looking at when you're looking at the dots and nothing is happening. So
Yeah.
the actual visual piece, if it's occurring, is helpful, and the documentation certainly follows suit with that. So I'm okay with it.
I agree with Scott. I thought the redaction was very good, and, you know, upheld the privacy of the person in question. I also, I like mostly, I mean, a lot of the times we don't see a lot in the video because they're using it properly. We're most of the time looking at somebody's shoe or the floor, which tells me that there's not any evidence that, you know, they're threatening with it. But I believe it's a very useful tool because we can tell through the audio. The audio I find to be the most important aspect of that, because we can tell. Whenever I watched these, the ones that the city sent me, you can tell just by the tone of the voice of the officers that they are following through procedure and doing the best they can. I've never heard anything insulting or not even anything in their tone of the voice that showed that they were about to, for lack of a better word, lose their cool. So, yeah, I thought it was very good.
Well, we had a little difficulty with the audio on this first one, which is too bad, but I think we could, between the report and what we did see, see that it was appropriate, it was effective, and as is our review, I think, we were able to see what's happening and feel comfortable and feel approving.
Okay. Okay, number 2. Scott, not Scott, Ricardo.
Ms. Mitchell, you know, as I had to clarify, it's pointing towards the ground, and so we get audio, and it's very hard. I can imagine this watching on TV. There's nothing. On the other hand, nothing is good in this case. You know, everyone's being as respectful and doing the best that they can. When somebody's under that kind of condition, a lot of bad things could happen. So it's good to have through. So I'm also satisfied with enough documentation that this is proper usage as intended. And what I really like is that as they're following this, because this is a record of all our usages, and they are as intended for those circumstances in which we don't know what's going to happen, and we don't want somebody harmed, especially under the use of drugs. So more power to everybody under the training and everything else. It looks and it feels right that we were there.
Scott?
Yeah, a couple of comments about number 2. And these aren't necessarily criticisms, but I guess I'll direct them toward to you, Mr. Fitzgerald. I mean, I was a early advocate of tasers as a less lethal means of control, but at some point, I have a little bit of concern about whether we sort of fall over the edge in the context of, if you would, kind of like overuse in the background. And that has 2 levels of concern for me. The first level of concern is that an officer might perceive the activation of a taser as a way to do what a body cam should be doing, frankly. The second part of that is that I fear that we take him sort of out of the action just a little bit, and I've never policed, so this is my gut kind of reaction to the video. Now there seem to be a lot of hands there and a lot of people. I can identify maybe 4 or 5 different voices, and so I'm not uncomfortable about it, but it just, one of the points about developing the policy was also not wanting to put officers at risk. So if they need both hands then shut the thing off and holster it, and then they have it. And with the length of the time of the video, you begin to wonder, you know, and I'm not trying to second guess that. That's just so that's just a comment about that. And I wish we had body cams on all of our officers, and then they wouldn't have to feel as if the taser might be the only way they can document what they do, which, given the environment of policing these days, I think that's a reasonable assumption that they might be feeling. The second one, I just wanted to just kind of remind us all and remind the public that the last paragraph noted that the subject was ultimately transported to a local hospital for treatment of both the consumption of LSD and the injury to his arm. And I want to make sure we all remind ourselves that, in fact, he was also in a protected class when Ricardo and I and the chief and Sergeant Searles worked through the draft of this. There were certain classes of people that were to be taken to the hospital as soon as possible after the event. And they included a person that's suspected of being under the influence of controlled substances or alcohol. The other one is pregnancy and stuff like that. So in addition to the comment they made in that last paragraph, I mean, they complied with that protocol in this context because of either the assumed or the admitted use of LSD. So other than that, I concur with Ricardo. I mean, I think this is the kind of stuff that I hoped that we would see and would be open to the public.
I really don't have very much to add. My only concern, like with Ricardo, was the audio, and that has been fixed.
That was addressed, yes, and it was fixed. It was
Is it something that happens very often with them?
No, this is the first time it's happened to one that I'm aware of. That happened to one of the tasers, and the way it was rubbing up against the officer, the top of it broke off, so that was fixed. So the safety would automatically go on and stop the recording.
Oh, okay. Yeah, other than that, I thought, again, that they followed through. Well, they took their time. They didn't rush him because I noticed in the video that there were a few times when the subject started to become agitated again. They backed away instead of pushing forward, you know, so I thought it was well done. So.
I would just like to thank you for your very careful comments as usual, and I feel supported of what you said.
We're good. Number 3, but we haven't seen number 3.
Yeah.
So I don't want to comment on before the video, but
Okay, the third incident, this one really did happen in southeast Urbana. It was on 3/18/16 at approximately 1:41 a.m. Urbana police officer was patrolling a residential neighborhood in southeast Urbana. The officer drove past the subject that was running in the road. As the subject ran past the squad car, he began to wave his arms to flag the officer down from behind. The officer stopped the squad car and made contact with the subject. The officer found that he knew this subject and was aware that he had past contacts with the police involving drug-induced abnormal behaviors. The officer found that the subject was acting paranoid and talking about being under surveillance by the feds. The officer also found that the subject began to spontaneously disrobe. Multiple officers responded to the call to assist the initial officer. Amongst the officers that responded were 2 taser officers. They too were familiar with the individual's often bizarre behavior as a result of drug use. The taser officers stood off to the side and at different angles from the subject. The subject recognized the tasers and verbalized that he observed the officers with the tasers. After speaking with the subject for some time, an ambulance arrived, and the officers were able to talk the subject into handcuffs and onto the gurney. The subject was transported to the hospital for treatment of his bizarre behavior. Once he was released from the hospital, he was arrested for possession of a controlled substance as he had crack cocaine amongst the personal items that he threw on the ground while disrobing. Alex.
What's up? Hold on, stay here. Yeah. Chief. What's up? Yeah, why you drawing the light like that? Why? Because I don't know what you're doing, fam. Okay, why you doing that? Why? Because I want to be able to see you. Okay, but you doing that. You're drawing the light on me. Okay, how can I help you? Okay, I just want you to know that I'm smarter than the average guy. I see what y'all doing. What's that? I see what y'all doing. What are we doing, I'm smarter than the average guy, bro. Okay. You messing up. Okay. You drawing blanks, bro. I see what y'all doing. I'm gonna win. Okay. I see what y'all doing. Okay. What can we help you with? Can I help you with something? Hey, that's just trying to kill me, bro. Can I help you? No. I see what y'all doing. Can I help you? I'm smarter than the average guy, bro. Okay. What can I help you with, okay? What can you help me with? Yeah. What can I help you with? The FBI gonna help y'all. Yeah, the FBI gonna help y'all. What can I help you with? I see what y'all doing. Hey, bro, I see what they doing. What can I help you with, man? All right? Yeah. What's up, man? Hey, bro, I see what you're doing, too. Yeah. Hey, bro, the FBI, shit, they watching over me, and I see what the fuck they doing. That's why they're doing that. Yeah, I see all that. Bro, I see you drawing, I see that. Burnham not telling y'all the truth, bro. Y'all gonna lose. I see that. Okay. Yeah, I see that. Y'all gonna lose. Hey, bro, bro, it ain't worth going to prison. You been smoking something tonight, man? No. Are you sure? No, you think because we was watching Birdman? No. See what's going on. You don't. No. What can I help you with? Hey, you flag me down. The Fed's watching y'all, bro. Okay, I hear you. No, but you don't believe me. That's why they hat like that. Why are you throwing everything on the ground? You flagged me down, fam. What can I help you with? It ain't worth going to prison, bro. The Fed's watching y'all, bro. You been smoking something tonight? No. You been doing any drugs? Are you sure? Well, I do. Hey, what's up? Come on, man. The Fed's watching y'all, bro. Okay. What you think they put in my hat? Okay. Why are you throwing everything on the ground, bro? Man? Okay. I see all that. You right. Hey, bro. Don't touch them, bro. They gonna lose on this. The Fed's watching. It's me. We know you. Yeah. That's why you're looking at this. I just want to see if you've been doing some drugs, man. And I see what's behind my head. No, the Fed's watching that, bro. Okay. All right. The Fed's watching it. Stand over there. Yeah. Are you all right? Get the light out of my hat. Ain't you still following me? Okay. And we just want to make sure you're all right, man. Yeah, okay. Why are you doing it now, man? Look at my watch. I know, you think the Feds ain't watching that? Look at my hat. Stay over here, man. Hey, bro. So we can figure out what's going on. What's so crazy? I'm seeing in. Watch this shit, though. Watch this. See the boots? Where I'm in bed? You think I don't know where I'm at? And look how they aiming at. Make it. Go ahead and roll back. I'm not quite sure what's going on. What's going on? What's going on? Possibly drug related. Hey, you good. Watch this shit, though. Watch CNN.
I'm going to stop it here at minute 5, and that gives you the context, and then I'm going to go to the actual taser video so that you can see that. And if you need to see more of this, we can come back to it.
Thank you, Alex. I'm ever conscious because we used to run a TV show. For people watching at home, this is a review of taser usage in Urbana, the third one in 4 months, probably. And we're just reviewing the footage. As interesting as it may seem, we are here for that taser part, which we're going to get to. But I just wanted to clarify because these things also happen in Urbana, but they're not, this is not those cop shows. We're reviewing a particular part so the audience knows that much. So we're not jumping through anything because of any other reason than we're here for the taser part.
So this is the third taser display we're reviewing today, and this is the 9th taser display since we began reviewing. This particular video of the taser is 5 minutes and 14 seconds.
Okay, we see there are two tasers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the victim or person that's being
The subject, is that what
Subject.
you call the person? The
Okay.
subject?
Yes.
he seems like he's over in the distance. The taser seen here, and he seems like he's,
Well, the way the officers arrived on the scene, one was on one side. He was moving around a lot, as you saw in the
Right,
video.
right, okay.
So one officer took a more tactical response on one side and one was on the other. So there were two
Okay.
tasers, so they were away from each other.
Okay.
But in whatever this
Right.
area this guy would have came, there would have been an officer there with a taser if
Yeah.
things got out of hand.
Okay, so my question, I guess, and it's very clear in the report that both would be ready for taser use so that their positioning was correct, so that they would, have the best, if a taser was deployed, they would be using it to the safest measure possible?
Yes.
Okay, but are we going to see the second was the second
There is a
taser
second
deployed?
video.
Okay, that's, all right, thank you, thank you.
And again, for those people watching at home, the taser, we're watching the view of the taser. So right now, the taser, the camera is showing us the taser is being pointed to the ground.
Go ahead. Y'all think y'all are not being watched? Y'all think this, y'all audio tape is where y'all want audio tape. Y'all don't see audio tape. Y'all being watched. Richie. Hey. The fireman. All right, yeah, I see what y'all doing. I see the bell. I see how you aiming. We know all that. But what y'all don't understand is, see the hand. I see the wall and all that. I'm waiting on y'all to do what y'all do. Y'all gonna do what y'all do. Y'all gonna take off like this is not being watched from. I'm starting with y'all. Y'all think this is not being videotaped. Y'all can feel me? Y'all say, okay, come on. Come on. What y'all working on? Y'all got the camera, y'all think y'all dictating on it? Y'all think y'all dictating it? Yeah, I see it. But you ain't on it. And what you don't realize is, man, I've been waiting on this, they've been waiting on it. Y'all think the same way we doing it. don't take. Y'all not gonna be able to dictate this. This is already, I'm trying to help y'all. Y'all do. You see the little things in the ground with your hands in the ground? You see my shirt over there? Come on, man. They know what's about. Y'all think the feds ain't in on y'all? Come on. Okay. Oh, he's high. He in hell. He pulled on it. Whatever. Whatever. Yeah, I know that. But y'all, hey, y'all the stupid ones. Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah. Hey, go ahead and do what y'all do. Y'all can commit murder. Hey, that audio ain't gonna work. It's a different audio. Listen to me for a second. Paramedics are here. They're going to check you out. Make sure you're okay. All right? You got to do that? It's not here. Those paramedics are working with y'all. That Bell is working with y'all. Barrett's working with y'all. I done had 3 of people. Hey, oh. 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 Hey, oh. Oh.
We just don't want you to hurt anybody. We're going to put you in handcuffs, okay? Just so you don't, we know you're not going to hurt anybody, okay? We want to make sure you're okay. We don't know what's going on.
Right, right. Just for your safety.
You're in that medical club.
That was the video of the first taser, and then the second taser is 4 minutes and 50 seconds.
Y'all do not see what he's saying and what he's saying. Yeah, I know. No, I'm not saying what y'all don't understand. What y'all doing? Hey, bro. You going to y'all gonna see him watch. You think I don't see that in the ground? Hey, bro, hey, Bill, this is what you don't understand. You gonna see it in. Y'all think they don't hear that? What they put in my plan and all that, and that's on the ground. Okay. You think I don't see my water, help, all that? What y'all gonna do? Go ahead. Go ahead. I don't want y'all to. Y'all call the shot. Go ahead. Go ahead. Y'all try it up. Go ahead. Go ahead. Y'all think y'all are not being watched. Y'all think this, y'all audio tape is the way y'all want to audio tape. Y'all the free audio tape. Y'all being watched. Y'all think this is not being videotaped? Y'all can try, y'all can kill me, assassinate me. Okay, come on. Come on. What are y'all waiting on? Y'all got the cameras, y'all think y'all dictating on me? Y'all think y'all dictating? Yeah, I see it. But you didn't know it. And what you don't realize is, sir, I've been waiting on this, they've been waiting on it. Y'all think the feds ain't in on this. Yeah, oh well, let it in.
Okay. And the only other video I want to show you just for like a minute is, for context, is this squad car camera, front camera for Squad 72.
And they arrived on the scene, like a second car?
I believe there were. let me
There were
see,
several cars.
Several
on the
cars
scene.
that responded. So car 62, car 63, car 65 is the first car, car 71, and car 72. And I'll fast forward till minute 1:45.
Is that officer on the right, the one with the taser?
No,
On
that's
the right, just a citizen.
Oh, he's a citizen.
The person's the other way on the right.
Okay.
And that's just some of the footage of the subject working in and out near the police officers.
Ms. Mitchell, can we begin the comments as that sits in the background? So, again, we're just watching the footage right now of the squad car to give us context for the videos that we saw previously of the two tasers. And they were, I think, one of the things that I'm learning is the limitations of the taser. That is, it's recording, but in this case, safe distance meant that it's pushing it to hear it without headphones or something. And I can imagine on TV there's even less to listen to, just because of the way of things get garbled. So I'm glad we're keeping them. I'm glad we have them, but that's the first limitation. We just, you have it too. The other one, though, is more potentially troublesome, and that is the cam right now on the car has a timestamp on it, and we know when things are happening. The taser cameras have no other markings on them?
I would not, that's something I would have to take back to Rich to try to find
Yeah.
out, since he's our,
I just want to check, in this case, this recordings, you know, they lead to a happy ending, in that the person then gets taken in, the hospital, the whole thing. But if there were ever a question of who's recording what and when did it happen, we would have to somehow correlate them. So if you can just take that question and come back. For the rest of it, this person, just to conclude, this person eventually gets taken to the car and is arrested, maybe to the hospital, I don't know.
yes, he's taken to the hospital
He's
first.
taken to the hospital first and then arrested for possession of drugs. Case number 2 was taken to the hospital and also arrested. It says Champaign Jail on one report, but
The
no
second-
charges
the
on
second-
him.
This subject was taken arrested because drugs were found.
Yes.
The second subject, or the second one, was not arrested. We did not find any.
But I thought in his wallet they found,
I'd have to double check, but I
yeah.
don't believe they found anything.
yeah, the report says that they found something in his wallet, or maybe I'm mixing them. In any case, besides that and difference in race, for me, this one is again a case in which they're back up, they're a safe distance away, there's recordings of what's actually happening that supplement what we would have seen on the taser unless it was pulled up. And, you know, eventually everything works out like it should. Hopefully this, you know, in a happy Urbana, that's what would happen every time. So I'm satisfied the procedures were followed. The only very small just inconsistency is on the second taser, the very last page of our packet. The taser form usage just doesn't have the cartridge used. And given their distance that they were supposed to be, it's just not checked off as to whether it's a 25-footer or a 35-footer. But that's, you know, had there been an incident, it might have been relevant. Today's not relevant. It was just a yeah. And I'm not sure at this point, he acknowledges that he sees the tasers somewhere in here. But they're so far away from him that I'm surprised he saw them because it's dark out there.
Well, if you look at the squad car video, you can see where the officers set up, and you can see where the taser officers are at. You see the one on the right now.
Yeah. Is that an officer now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm just thankful for everybody's patience. That is, if you're there and this is going on and on and on and on and on, somebody could lose their cool. So I think Megan's comment is also fits that. People are having the patience that means a happy ending rather than escalating. So that's all my comments.
He's taken to the hospital first and then arrested once he's released from the hospital.
Okay, so he actually said, okay, after he talked, because it said no, it was shown but not used, so what did he do? He said, okay, I give up, tired of talking, and
Right here, it's going to happen at minute 154, so they're having the conversation. He's moving his arms. I'm just going to fast forward it a little bit. The conversation continues, and I'll just skip a little bit to that's minute 51, 52, 53, and 54 is where he begins to cooperate, right there. And then the event is over.
Yeah. They were calm.
knocking around. When-
We're even in a very nice, peaceful place, and it seems long now. In a tense situation, it would have been forever to been there, so.
Could I add just really quickly to one of Ricardo's comments? I'm happy to say that in this particular case, we have, although the audio may sometimes be difficult to hear from the tasers, the squad car, the camera, whatever audio equipment the officers have broadcasts to the squad car, and so we have very good audio from the squad car. If you wanted on any given taser to hear the audio from whatever's on their uniform, you can hear that. And you'll see that in, for example, in the first officer that responded. The interaction very well.
We just want to make sure
And
you're
the
all,
video
you're
that
all
you
right.
get from the tasers, because they're aimed down, you get all these perspectives from the various squad cars.
Yeah.
There was one squad car that doesn't have good perspective because it's much further back and an ambulance is there, and they must have been in more of a secondary position or something, but we have enough of it. I'm not saying that your feedback was not valid, of course it is, but I'm just, if you wanted to hear different audio streams, in case one of these went really poorly, we would have those different audio streams to be able to listen through. And we'll definitely ask about how we would coordinate the taser video with the time-stamped vehicle videos. That's a good point, too.
Just to be ready. But it's good documentation.
I thought it, again, I thought that, considering the number of officers who were involved in this incident, at first I said, why can't I hear him? And then I realized because they were keeping a distance, because he appeared to need an audience, and perhaps that would have heightened his agitation, and so I thought that, and I noticed this at the final video that we watched, when he said, okay, I'm ready to go, then we saw officers, so I thought very well orchestrated as well.
I have a couple of comments. Oh, that's all right. That's all right. We wouldn't have to go in order all the time. Both of the preceding video, taser video, and this video show the Taser X2, but it looked as if on the first one that we saw for the third case, that there was a white light there, like there was a flashlight either attached to the taser or in it. Is there a flashlight in there that they can opt in or out of?
I really don't know. That's something, Reg, but I know with our duty revolvers, you're able to, there's a place where you're able to put a flashlight so you can see better.
So maybe-
So there might be, I'm sure the tasers have something on that where you can buy yourself, like the officer.
Right,
buy
okay,
himself
so an
and
officer
fix
discretion
to-
yeah, okay, because it made the top kind of stationary one a little bit hard to see in one of them, and I just wondered whether we had made, well, specifically whether we had made the purchase of additional or maybe improved tasers, from the first 5 or whatever.
That's what something I'd have to ask Lieutenant Searles.
Yeah, okay. The second thing is that in this case, I ding whoever filled out the taser usage form just a bit. I'm really into these special classes. Drug use is one of them, and so under special discharge consideration category, it seems to me that's an obvious yes instead of no on the taser usage form in the back of our packet that's dated. And I just bring that up because, again, we knew we had these protected class of citizens that we wanted to pay particular attention to, given the historic concerns about people who may be hopped up on something and the application of the taser. So, every officer who pulls one of these things needs to know that's kind of in their suite of concern. And he does say mental subject on drugs, but then forgets kind of forgets, it's just he didn't circle the Y instead of the N, so I'm kind of making a big deal out of that. But I think it is a big deal that we have these protected classes. So that's the other comment. Other than that, again, good coverage, good perspectives. No criticism about the use protocol at all. So.
Grace, can I just have a quick question? So just so I understand correctly, the comment is that on this, the taser usage form for this third incident and also maybe the second incident, it might be best to be yes?
In the second incident, they did mark yes plainly.
In the second?
In the second incident, yeah. I marked it for my reference. I had to go back and forth between them. Yeah, the taser use form, a special discharge consideration category, yes, this is the overdose of LSD, 1219. That's marked yes. He does additionally say in need of medical attention. That's another protected category. So the person who filled out this taser usage form just, I think my opinion is it should have been a yes, and drugs. On the checkbox.
I've got it. So it's just the last one, okay.
Yeah, just for
Thank
the
you.
second one, yeah.
We just reviewed 3 taser usages, and so we've been looking for counties, and that's why we're doing 3 for counties. So I have a question about whether we've observed any pattern, and do these 3 tell us something about the general usage about when is the taser, is it because there's an officer available who has the taser? And do we have other episodes of people with obvious mental or drug problems if there's no taser available? And so we can't.
That does occur, yes. If there's no taser, there's only a certain amount of officers that have tasers. Sometimes we'll have to call a county in or the university in to help us out, but I believe those are reviewable too if they do show up. So sometimes we handle them without tasers at all. There's not a taser available, and the officer will handle it on his own. The officers without the taser use.
Actually, that brings up a related question. I think as we were drafting this, there was a period in which we were going to review all of them, and then that situation was going to change. I don't know whether that was a year or a certain number, so I don't know who's keeping track of that, but I distinctly remember the conversation that there was a probationary, a trial period, something like that. So both for record keeping and for transparency, we should clarify when that date is. And I don't see it in our today's paperwork, so.
There is in the ordinance a provision for us to review this process and to determine how we should proceed forward.
Okay.
And so we have already, I believe, reached it. I believe they were introduced in March, and we're now in April. So my recommendation would be that we put it on the agenda for the next session and conduct a review of our review and what we would propose moving forward.
Alex, I was looking here. We did have one other use by county, I believe, on a UPD call. I don't believe we do get documentation from an external user. And in fact, that was one of the reasons to advocate for a policy and control so that more often when we had taser displays in Urbana, someone like the CPRB or whoever would have the opportunity to review them. So, in that context, the system is working, because if you assume that of the displays that we've looked at, we have 6 or 7, if it had been up to county to respond, and certainly in the case of this last one where the guy was, kind of in the street for many, many, many minutes, we would have very easily had a display, at least, that we couldn't have documented. So just make sure everybody is on the same page here. I don't believe we have the capability of going to county and saying, okay, we want your video from the taser that you used on North Lincoln.
I agree. I believe it's supposed to be brought up that it was, but you're not able to, that's another jurisdiction.
Right,
so
right.
we're not able to get
Right,
the
right.
actual video.
Yeah, yeah.
But it is supposed to be brought to the attention, I believe.
Yeah, and I've got it in an email from Alex, but I can't find it right now, so, the notification of that display, so.
And one of the things is going to be on our next agenda meeting, so that we can talk about recommendations and, what our impressions were of what's going on.
Okay.
Is this are you asking me to look into whether we can require or request other jurisdictions that utilize a taser on Urbana?
No, I'm
Okay,
not,
okay.
because it's my understanding from working with the chief and Lieutenant Searles that we can't get those.
So there's no request to me?
And that was that part of the logic of building the policy that we have was so that we would have control and be able to see images of the type that we've been reviewing. So no, there's no request to you.
Okay.
I heard that we could maybe get those from county from somewhere in this room, either that or
Okay.
my mind made it up, but I thought I had heard someone imply that we could get them.
On the other hand, I would like to request that we at least know when there is one. That is, if it happens within Urbana, even if we don't have access to the video directly, we ought to know that it happened.
Okay. Would you like me to look into that? Is that
Yes,
what?
please.
Okay. I will consult the legal department and internal staff to see what vehicle might be available and report back.
At least to know that it happened and that somewhere that video exists. If we can have the video, it's Urbana. I would want to protect as much of the officer's version of it by having it out, because that way they know it's safe and they're not under suspicion. I think I see this as a safety.
If it's Urbana, you're talking about Urbana.
If it happens within Urbana,
And it's not Urbana's officers?
we still should know.
Yeah, and I think we have been notified when that's happened, and I'm trying to find that documentation.
I think notification would be fine, but as far as the training of the videos and the documentation, I don't think they're gonna be required, or should they really?
Well, I would say they ought to be required. They're functioning in Urbana. This is our town.
Well, we can always, you can always ask,
Right.
you know.
Remember our vote, we
Yeah. I don't know if
not
anyone
us,
has
who?
asked. Yeah.
I understand the question. I'll look into it and report back. And
Thank you. Here it is.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. May you feel better.
Did you find the one? Oh,
Well, just that it has a 12-month.
yeah.
Okay. Next.
Normally, our procedure has been to determine whether there is a motion to make any recommendations or there's a motion to make no recommendations to the police chief. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion that we make no recommendation of changes and voice our satisfaction with the information we've been provided.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Just to prep us for when we do meet and talk about this, page 3, section 19-53, performance review. CPRB and the police department shall conduct a thorough evaluation of this Division 4 12 months after its effective date. The review process shall include an analysis of Division 4's strengths, weaknesses, and effectiveness. The CPRB and the police department shall tender written reports to the mayor and the city council summarizing their respective findings and recommendations. The report provided for in this section shall be tendered in a timely manner, but no later than 3 months after the commencement of the review and evaluation process. I guess it's not an option that we actually talk through and review. We're being mandated by this that we do review and turn in our report. Okay. I agree.
Right. This is on my radar, but until we concluded our review, now we're done with all TASER reviews. We can conduct our analysis and submit our report. So I'll reach out to you and put a timetable together and also put it on the agenda for the next meeting. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Business cards.
For the next agenda item, there was a brief discussion about the order of proceeding, whether we might want to modify it a little bit. It came up during the very first time we began the TASER review, and I think the concern is that in these, out of all of these, I believe 9 TASER displays, they have not been discharged or energized. They've been displays. That we have found that all of the displays have been compliant with the rules and regulations that were established. But there might come a time when we come across a display that the board feels is non-compliant and that the board wishes to make some recommendations. And so the order of proceedings here provides that after a review, if you feel that a change is in order, that you would vote that you would like to make a recommendation for a change to the police chief. And of course, you could either discuss that. My thought would be you could either discuss that at the session, or if it was very complex and you needed additional information or wanted to interview, we could hold a separate meeting to go into the issue. You could do a work group to look into the matter deeper and come back to the board with some recommendations. There are many ways to proceed, and then regardless of how we proceed, it would begin, I think, with the board motioning that a change, the board is interested in making a recommendation for a change, and then some vehicle to investigate what that change is, and then bring it back to the board to vote. That's how I envisioned it. We can do it in any way you'd like. If you would like to have 1 or 2 individuals work with me to tweak and modify this procedure, I'm absolutely welcome that. If it's working for you, wonderful. If you'd like to revisit it when you do have a TASER display that is problematic, that we can flesh out that piece. The proceeding wasn't really fleshed out when the review was provided for, so it was created in order to get our first TASER review hearing organized, and it went very well. So I just wanted to put it on the agenda because I promised I would, so that we could have a conversation about it.
I guess I look at for time, we're getting, this is the first review we've actually had in looking at TASER usage. I think that to change the process that we have going now, it becomes something very different. I think that more time to continue to look at this is where we should actually go. I think I would need to see more. We don't see any usage. Granted, after we see any incidents of actual TASER usage, then I could say, well, maybe we need to look at how it's handled. I know it takes time with the police department to go through filling out these forms, need to be filled out, but this is the only way we can get the information we need to find out what's going on. That's just for me.
I guess I'm interpreting what you're saying as we should extend the review of TASER displays for a while longer, for us to then be able to comment on whether the process is working or not. Yeah. Oh, yeah, so I understood you correctly, and I like the idea because as we listen to these, the documentation was there, but the documentation hasn't been tested. And tested in an unfortunate situation. It's been tested in places that it did, and hopefully the fact that a procedure has helped for that to happen right. But there will be a time in which we do have a deficiency or a wrong turn of events. So I would agree with you. Yeah, extending it as long as, the meetings can be longer, but you know what? That's what we're here for.
I was the one who had the problem with the order of proceedings. And it wasn't anything about what we've been talking about. But here are my notes, okay? Are we sure, item 1A, are we sure we want to call this a hearing? Does that have legal implications that we need to be careful about? There are open hearings, there are closed hearings, there may be notification requirements for hearings that the agenda has to specify. I'm not sure. So my problems with the order of proceedings is that the first time we used it, I hadn't seen it. And I didn't think as a body we had looked at it and said, does this make sense to us? So my stuff is almost like Robert's Rules of Order stuff. The order of proceedings is an error in that we're already in the meeting. We have called the meeting to order and roll call's been taken. Today we went through 7 agenda items, and then the hearing, if that's what we're going to call it, happened under new business. That's fine, but I think the order of proceedings need to reflect that so that we can lockstep through this, because the meetings are not just meetings for hearings, and that's kind of implicit in the way the order of proceedings are written now. And that's the first thing I noticed. Now, when I started going through here, the hearing thing still bugs me, but that's something that people can, better legal minds than I can bring up. The other things that I noted, besides the items in 1 that should exist outside the hearing, i.e. the meeting, sometimes you need to take a vote to go into a hearing, especially if it's closed. And I'm not implying that's what we're doing, but again, that gets back to the question of, is this really a hearing or not? The other thing that I had was in item 5. So I started reading through it, point by point. Item 5. There's a second line down. Each board member will, in turn, individual be given the opportunity to discuss the TASER utilizations reviewed. And in the TASER implementation policy, I can't find the word utilization. So we have a form that reports the incident, and it's titled Urbana Police Department TASER Usage Form. So my simple suggestion would just be to substitute usage for utilization. And I'm just trying to make sure this stuff is all internally consistent and you can reference what we're doing back and forth. Again, kind of the corollary to coming into it, if it's really a hearing, you need to come back out of it. So at point 7, normally you would come out of a hearing and then continue the meeting and then adjourn. Okay. So those are kind of housekeeping things about the way you move in and out of a hearing.
Right, but final deliberation, okay, so where is this called a hearing? This is not actually a hearing.
Well, that's my question kind of for legal and Alex. I'm afraid that may have implications, but that's just because of other boards and commissions that I sit on, where things like calling a hearing is a really big deal. And if we call it a review session, it feels a little bit different, but I still think that it needs to reflect its position as being inside our regular meeting as opposed to a meeting for a review session, which is the way this reads to me now.
Scott?
So I mean, that's just housekeeping stuff.
Just to remind me, didn't we write this last August? Is that when we were working on?
No, we didn't write it.
No, this was this is not codified in ordinance. This is a
Okay.
rubric. This is like a
Okay.
like a program
Okay.
when you're having an event, so that we can what
Move
goes
through
first,
it,
so we
yeah.
can move through it. So this is not. This can be amended by the
Yeah.
chair. The chair could use it or not use it. This was a suggestion, like a
Okay, good,
recipe,
good.
and move forward.
Right,
All right.
And,
right.
And the chair does and can deviate anywhere she'd like,
Yeah.
as well as
It's
the
not
board.
binding, so.
So, exactly.
I think it's
But
great,
I
and whoever
like-
did it, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
But I can definitely provide clarification of these words. So we'll
Yeah.
change hearing to review, we'll change utilization to usage. And so how about I email this to all of you, and then you can redline it with Word or whatever and get it back to me, and then I'll consolidate everything and bring back a proposed
great.
revised version.
Yeah.
The public is involved in this because the public, at no time are the public excluded from what's going on. The public is still here for participation. Okay, if indeed, it might require, if we're gonna make any recommendations or if we're gonna do any voting, that if we are in closed session to do that and then come out of closed session after it's done. I don't think we do that in open session.
I don't know, but when I read the
This is not
word.
so much a hearing as it is a review.
When I read the word hearing, all of that, the implications of that,
Yeah.
kind of like, oh.
No, none of
whoa.
these have been hearings.
Yeah,
They're
right.
reviews.
Yeah.
And so I'll make sure that that's clarified.
Right, yeah. So it was those couple of word usages and then just kind of rolling it into the meeting a little bit cleaner, in and out of the meeting.
And then the other thing, Scott, that you did bring up last time, which I thought had a lot of merit, was handling 6.2. So, when you do encounter a very problematic taser usage, you may not be prepared to render a decision. You may
Right.
want further research. And so this is not codified, or this is a rubric. So you can, based on that situation, determine whether you're going to have a special hearing, a special meeting, or whether you're going to task 2 individuals to generate some draft recommendations or inquire further and come back to the board. So you have many, many options. This is more or less
Right.
the high-level skeletal how to proceed forward, but
Yeah.
it's not codified. This is just a suggestion and a recipe.
Yeah. Well, I think, I just think it works well, I mean, I appreciate having it as a model. I mean, every system needs a model, and that way you catch, weird little things. Yeah,
Say so email us,
yeah.
some suggestions, but I have to agree there. Situations where we actually get information or report on somebody being tasered, that would be definitely one that you want to have a special review session to look at that.
Yeah,
Because you do add to some problems if you have an open public review session and what's interpreted by the public that's here about what's going on.
yeah,
And I see that as most important with what we're doing right now in Urbana, because Champaign is fighting the issue of having a review, a civilian review, board. But one of the things that I see that they're asking, the community's asking in reference to their review board, they wanna be able to, be involved in, discipline.
yeah. It's a big package.
Right.
Yeah.
They want to be many police, but they're looking at us to see how our board functions. And I must say, we do a great job.
Yeah.
We get a lot of time.
If we get to the point where we can't reach a decision, though, doesn't Roberts just let us continue the meeting and adjourn, pretty much, right? I mean, we just don't close that meeting. We make another date on the calendar and
Yeah.
come back, right? Yeah.
These may not be hearings, but we do need a formal
Exactly.
So that we have consistency.
Exactly.
So that,
And I hope that this has accomplished that, and because it's a very
Yeah.
we have a very orderly process, and it's working, but it's flexible. So as we
Yeah.
encounter more complex reviews, that we can.
So I have a couple of questions, because there's people in the community that might want to join the fun of doing this,
Of doing what?
of being part of this board.
Okay.
Do we have openings? What's the procedure? And two, we are not the only models for Champaign. All across the nation, there are towns battling with these issues, and we are but one instance. And in Urbana, this is working for us. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
we to answer your first question, we are fully staffed. There are going to be appointments coming up again, or appointments or non-appointments coming up again in, I believe, June or
So the
July.
mayor appoints.
Yeah, the mayor appoints individuals. And as soon as there's a vacancy, I notify the public and I notify you. And individuals are welcomed and invited to apply. They fill out an application that is given to the mayor, and the mayor's office processes that application. And there's a procedure for that. And then she makes the appointment that she feels is appropriate for the board.
And there's a length of time of the appointment, then, is that what you're saying
Yes,
for vacancies?
there's a length
Okay.
of term. Mhm.
Okay.
And
I remember the interview. It was the scariest thing since my PhD.
Diane, we don't want to scare the community. Oh, and the
Everybody's welcome.
And on the second point that Ricardo that you brought up, actually, I watched the presentation that was made to the Champaign City Council on yesterday.
Yeah.
And they walked through and explained to the council the various different models that are available.
Okay.
We are a member of NACOL, and so they consulted also some of the NACOL literature and to inform their presentation. So they are definitely going to, it appears, going to look at all the different models that are available as they tailor one to fit their needs.
And I have some materials at home. I'm a member of NACO and have gone to 3 of the conferences. Pretty interesting.
Okay.
If we can move on to the next item.
Yes, we can.
Okay. And the next one is the Human Relations Commission and I got together, and one of the things that we're going to be looking to do is expand outreach of both the HRC and the CPRB. And so in the HRC arena, we created some name badges so that when they're out in the community, people can see the visibility of the HRC and the visibility of the CPRB. And so I'd like, with your permission, to order these name badges for you. They're very similar to the name badges that the city council members have when they go out into the community. It's not terribly expensive. I think it's under $200, and I believe we have the money. And so if you are interested, if you'd make a motion authorizing me to order these for you and purchase them, and if you feel that your name is listed correctly, then I'll order them. If you feel that your name should be modified in any way, I'd be willing to do that. That's the first item. And the second item is you do not have business cards. And so I went ahead and prepared a mock-up of a business card for the commission or the Civilian Police Review Board. And this would be something that you can distribute when you are at events or when I appear at events on your behalf that I can distribute for you. If you hear that someone is concerned about a police encounter, the card also gives them information. It's a little more expensive to make it a two-sided card, but I think the value's there. And so if you like the card and you're interested in making a motion authorizing me to order the cards for you, I can do so. I believe they're not terribly expensive either. There's some language that I put in here for you that you can look at and see if it meets with your approval. We can approve it. If you have some tweaks you'd like to make here, that's great. If you want to hold it over to your next session, that's fine too.
Hi, and then that also answers the question you asked about do people in the community know about what we do. If we have these cards and things available, we can give them out. we need a motion to allow Alex to move forward with trying to get name badges and business card trust members.
Well, I'll start with the motion for the badges, motion to approve the purchase.
Okay, there's a motion to approve the name badges. Is there a second to that motion? Second. There's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We need a motion for business cards. Do you think this is a worthy cause for us to have business cards?
I do, but I'd probably like to wordsmith the back just a bit.
Okay.
And I welcome that, truly.
Um,
There's a lot of wisdom on this board, and this is just a starting point for you. And the HRC wordsmithed their card for 2 sessions. So it's definitely worthwhile because, with the card, you don't have to carry a brochure or anything, And one of the things that I didn't know about is this funky symbol here, which is a QRC. You can scan it with the phones, and it takes you right to a website where you can learn about the complaint and the form and all of that stuff. So,
Okay, Scott,
I
Can we
don't
just
do it now.
approve to move with it, and then the wordsmithing can take place after
Sure.
the approval?
Was that a motion?
So that is a motion to approve us getting cards after revisions.
Second.
there's a motion and a second for Alex to proceed with getting us business cards as a civilian police review board. Are there any questions, suggestions?
Close the review time. Comments to you in 10 days.
Sure. How about, so today's Wednesday, how about
Out of order. Are all those in favor?
Aye. Okay.
How about the feedback to me in 2 weeks?
2
Okay.
weeks? A week?
Sure.
I'll incorporate all the feedback and render back to you final remarks.
Motion to adjourn?
Okay, can I give a couple of announcements?
Oh, sorry.
That's, just a couple of announcements and maybe reminders. I don't know how we've been keeping up with going out ride-alongs. We need to check into it. I think the weather's getting warm, so I think that, at some point we need to say, maybe I can do a ride-along. I think that's important. Also, with summer coming up and activities coming up in the community, it would be good if we could, get some involvement in outreach. We were at the what do you call it? Farmers market. We had a table at the farmers market one year when we were there, and we had brochures and we had literature, and that's us getting out in community. I know we did go up to, was it Douglas? We went somewhere, it was Douglas. They were having an event in their, in the park near Douglas Center. And granted, that's on the fringes of Champaign and Urbana, but we have a lot of people that are between Champaign and Urbana who are interested in knowing what we do and how we do it. And that was not just to put pressure on their government in Champaign to do it, but it gives us some idea of what it's about. We met a couple of times with the Ministerial Alliance, okay, and talked to them. A lot of times when we go out in the community, granted, we hear a lot of complaints. Some of them I know for a fact are legitimate, some of them not. But I think it behooves us to sometimes be out there to let people know we just don't always sit back and wait for somebody to bring us something. We're out there. It also strengthens our position that we're here to help you and support you in whatever way we can. And it also, in many ways, let the police know that we don't always look at them as the enemy. We're here for both sides. And to me, that's really important if we're going to be effective as an board. And that's all I got to say. Yes.
Here, here.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Also, Megan has joined the Citizen Police Academy cohort this year, so she is going to be attending 10 Thursdays through the summer, or 9 Thursdays. I have also enrolled, so to get a better sense of what the training is like and to be able to bring that so I wanted to share that. The other thing I wanted to share is I I don't know if you guys have been made aware, guys and gals have been made aware, but there is going to be an initiative that's being explored in Champaign and Urbana around called CU Fresh Start, and it's in part modeled on the Don't Shoot methodology. And so the coalition, the Champaign Coalition, came and presented to the City Council at one of their previous sessions. I'm going to get the memorandum that they presented and forward it to you. And I'll also send you an email link inviting you to see the presentation that they made. I think it's around 45 minutes to an hour. It is it's a big initiative. It's going to have a significant impact on. It's hoping it's going to have a significant impact on gun violence in the community that seems to be escalating, as reported by the police department and the coalition. And so this is.
That's actually a squad.
And so I wanted to ask you, would you like me to purchase these book for each of you so that you can read it? Or I believe there's one copy or two at the Urbana Library, and I believe they're checked out. I believe we have the funds to order it for you, and so I did want to ask you that. Okay.
This coalition is headed by Tracy Parsons, who just headed the Access Program, which is no longer in existence. So his new position is the head of this coalition. Don't Shoot for Champaign, and it's actually for the whole area. So what do y'all think about that, gentlemen?
I'll take a copy.
I'll share a copy with somebody. I don't know if I'd want to keep it. So once you guys have finished reading, let me know, and I'll gladly pick it up.
I'll share a copy with Ricardo.
Okay.
3, 4. So I'll order 4 copies.
Okay. I have another announcement. Unrelated.
Well,
Okay.
can I, because I appreciate all the things that you said about outreach, and I think we shouldn't stop there with this. I think you guys would probably, run me out on a town on a rail if I said I thought we should have a special meeting about it. But I might go to that extent. I think we at least need to have it as a major item of new business on the agenda at the next meeting that we have, and, try to get our mojo working just a little bit on this. The fact of the matter is, we haven't done anything in about 3 years. The Ministerial Alliance meetings were not that hard to attend. I would volunteer if we wanted to try to work on email to find a date to do a farmer's market thing to facilitate that. I got a table, I got some chairs, I got an easy up. I think that's pretty good. That's not very well targeted to some members of our community. At the city table? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I didn't do it.
Yeah, and so we almost didn't have an identity. Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't very effective.
Well, yeah, and that's why my suggestion would be that we consider having a table banner printed, 2x4, city logo, Civilian Police Review Board, and make it something that's, kind of independent in our own space. Do an inventory on the brochures that we have. The poster was printed just a couple of times, right, Diane? But that still should be here, and I think it's still good. And if we could get, I can probably find a Saturday this summer where I could do that. If somebody else wanted to join me, that would be great. And we need to start targeting these groups. That document that I gave you very early on, Alex, was essentially a revised version of Portland, Oregon's outreach program for their review board. And it had it kind of built big, but it also, simply said, evaluate your stakeholders. Who are they in the community? And we haven't really gone through that exercise. The only thing the ordinance mandated and really hence supported us in doing were the trifold brochure about rights and responsibilities and the poster. And the rest of the outreach activities for this board are implicit, not explicit. And we have never made them explicit. And so I challenge us to do that. I think we've got enough horsepower that we can run a table once or twice a year. So.
I have a little bit of concern that, we're mentioning the farmer's market, and the farmer's market is a wonderful thing. Urbana is very fortunate to have it. However, there's a large portion of Urbana's population that cannot afford the farmer's market.
Right.
We have a picnic that'll be coming up, I believe it's at the end of May, that's attended. I know the chief goes to the picnic. I know I've seen officers there that would be a wonderful target for our Latino community. There are picnics in the King Park neighborhood. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a good area.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Because these are a lot of the folks who feel disenfranchised.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
who would really
And you have
benefit.
Champaign Urbana Day, that's a big event. So I agree now, we need to get a special meeting together. Okay, we said we were gonna do this when at our next meeting? Hold this until our next meeting, because it's 8:00, yeah.
Unfortunately, the next meeting is next quarter, right?
Yeah,
In
yeah,
3 or
yeah,
4 months.
Yeah.
And the summer would be gone.
Could Alex send out a few dates when people would be available to come in for me?
I would be willing to do that.
Okay, we just put up a few dates, and we would want the dates to be in May or June. Can we look at
Yeah, when
Yeah,
the market
yeah,
and
yeah,
when
yeah,
people
yeah,
are
yeah,
out.
Yeah. UPD's concert series in the park, that's a great way to get out to communities.
So we're looking at dates in May. That we
Yeah.
can meet.
May and
Yeah.
June, yeah.
Yeah.
To meet in May and then to roll out in the summer, because by the time the fall comes, we all hide.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're suggesting a meeting in 30 days?
In May.
So we're in April now. Okay, so, right, so
So,
within the next 30 days.
Yes,
May,
within the next
yes,
so that
yeah,
we can
yeah, yes. yeah.
roll something out to take advantage of June, July, and August.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, because then during those summer months, we could be doing something.
Yeah. And Megan, you're absolutely right. The farmer's market just pops to my head because I know that it's there. But it's a pretty affluent audience, and some people who are underserved or understressed aren't there.
Because I know the one that we did up here at the center, so we got a lot of people there that, could utilize us. Ministerial Alliance is always a good one, because they have a good pocket of individuals in the community that utilize them through their churches. So, like Douglas Park, Crystal Lake Park, concerts in the park, there are a lot of activities going on.
Yeah. Table banner. Table banner's nice.
The table banner, I'm going to have to research because they can be very expensive, but I'll see what we can come up with. So I'll bring that information to you for the May meeting. If we can't afford one, we have a very nice one that I use that just says the city of Urbana.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we can add something else that's nice
Yeah.
to distinguish and brand ourselves. So either way, we will have one. We'll either have one printed that is our own, or we can use the city one, and it's a very
Yeah,
nice one.
It might be timely for the farmer's market. Last year, Natalie Kinney Marquez printed a bunch of them for people who were vendors at the farmer's market. And another effort I have, she printed some for us, and we got them for like $30 or $40 a piece. So Natalie is the banner lady.
Any other announcements?
I was just gonna because I think this is the group that's overlaps. Officials of ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, were here in town yesterday, a couple of days back, and the Immigration Forum met with them because when they come into town and they take anybody away, it does affect. It has a cascade effect in schools and at work and certainly other families that hear about it. It was a good discussion, and they've got their lines open. But I was most gratified that both chiefs of police were also there. That is, there is a deal right now between immigration and with with the local Alliance of Police Enforcement that when they're in town, they basically give an exit report. We went to these addresses and we took these people, which for immigration advocacy is a huge thing, because at least now when the family calls us all in panic, we can verify that yes, they were picked up. Now they are being processed and they're going to be in that jail and whatever else. So while I don't normally praise ICE, in this case, they're making an effort to be in contact with local police officers and then a community activist group. So
I think that very good, because we work with Senatio Family Advocacy, and they work with us, and Lucia, who works at the person
Yeah.
in the Atlanta School District, works closely with us. So we've had a couple people that have been arrested, been taken to the holding in Chicago, or whether they.
yeah.
So they have, they have been supportive. We try to be supportive to those families that are actually caught up in it.
Exactly.
Unfortunately. So,
Yeah, we get the family end of it. The law enforcement side is theirs, but in the end, it has repercussions in our families. So, anyway, they were here.
Move to adjourn?
Diane, that was quick.
Aye.